But apparently there are several athletes that are competing in the Beijing Olympics that are now speaking out the way they are being treated. Cry every day. Olympic athletes slam the food, COVID tests, and conditions in Beijing quarantine hotels. My heart can't take it. Emotionally crushed Polish speed skater Natalia Malzikwa wrote in an Instagram post. I think I actually have video of this. Maybe somebody else. I'm not sure. To read the story from the USA Today. Got the video here from the New York Post.
Hi everybody. Some of you have read the good news that I was sent out of the isolation facility. We thought this meant I was allowed to return to the Olympic Village and will be treated maximum as a close contact. On the way to the village, we did not turn to the village, but the ambulance went to another facility where I am now. I am supposed, my NOC got surprised by this decision as well. I'm supposed to stay here for another 7 days with 2 PCRs a day and no contact with anybody else. I am allowed to slide.
They are up to at least 45 cases.
We are not even sure I will ever be allowed to return to the village. And obviously this is very hard for me. So I ask you all to give me some time to consider my next steps, because I'm not sure I can handle 14 more days and the Olympic competition while being in this isolation. Thank you.
Now this is Kimmy Lemons, person that was quoted in the USA Today article. My heart can't take it. Emotionally crushed Polish speed skater Natalia Malzikwa wrote in an Instagram post. I'm very pale and I have huge black circles around my eyes. I want all this to end. I cry every day. According to Russian biathlete Ballerina Vasnetsova, on the same platform, it's unreasonable, complained Dirk Himmelfinging, ahead of the German delegation in an interview with the nation's media. All three were speaking out about the conditions they faced or observed in quarantine hotels in China used by athletes who test positive while at the 2022 Winter Olympics. They described inedible meals, little or no access to training equipment, and a confusing and at times seemingly illogical COVID-19 testing regime. Short track speed skater Malzikwa tested positive for coronavirus on January the 30th, when she was ruled out of Saturday's qualifying race for the 500 meters, her strongest event. Malzikwa was unexpectedly released from isolation on the eve of the race, only to test positive a few hours before it started, and was immediately ushered back into quarantine. The next day, Sunday, the day after the qualifying event, she was released after testing negative again. A lot of people do not understand the situation. Positive and negative tests confirming isolation, suddenly positive test, later good results again. Malzikwa wrote in Polish in her Instagram post. She also posted on Twitter. It was translated into English by a Polish radio journalist named Matua Legeza. I don't understand it either, she wrote. I don't believe in anything anymore. In no tests, no games. It's a big joke for me. Three-time U.S. Olympic bobsled medalist Elena Myers-Taylor also tested positive after arriving in Beijing and had to isolate, but has since been cleared to compete. Myers-Taylor told USA Today Sports she did everything she could in her tiny room to prepare for the first monobob heats that begin February 13th. She did squats and lifted weights and sprinted from one end of the room to the other to mimic the start of the race. U.S. figure skating announced on Monday that Vincent Zhou, scheduled to skate the men's short program on Tuesday, tested positive on Sunday. Now unclear whether he will be able to compete. The IOC says it's dealing with athletes' concerns. In a press briefing with reporters on Monday, the International Olympic Committee's sports director, Kit McConnell, said that the IOC has a support network in place to deal with athletes' concerns, both individually and collectively. Said the steps were being taken to address individual circumstances which are still challenging. The IOC had been having calls with athletes who are not satisfied with the quarantine conditions. However, McConnell also said that it was the Beijing Olympic Organizing Committee, not the IOC, that has responsibility for dialogue with the hotels where athletes and other games participants are staying. In a process of addressing these problems, said Shohan Yang, vice president of Beijing's organizing committee, in Monday's briefing, sitting next to McConnell. Not everyone is feeling the improvements yet. Coach of the Finland's men's ice hockey team on Sunday accused Beijing's organizers of not respecting Marco Antila's human rights. But Jolonia told media in a Zoom call that the 2004 NHL 9th round pick of the Chicago Blackhawks was not getting good food and was suffering with mental stress because of his isolation. Antila had been confined in his room for 2 weeks after testing positive when he landed in Beijing. Positive for coronavirus 18 days prior to leaving for China and produced several negative tests before he left. But the more sensitive tests used by Chinese health authorities have produced positive tests. Aw, thank you, Chedan, for saying I suck. And I'm told I'm not bad at it either. We know he's fully healthy and ready to go, and that's why we think that China, for some reason, they won't respect his human rights. According to Jelena, still Schimmelfinnen, the German delegation head who told Germany's FAZ newspaper that Nordic combined star Eric Frenzel was being quarantined in unreasonable conditions and required a larger, more hygienically clean room. More regular food delivery, said organizers acted quickly after his complaints. Now the athletes have a satisfying framework of conditions. They have bigger rooms now, working Wi-Fi, an exercise bike in the room. So we have appropriate and satisfying conditions in a very difficult situation for the athletes. You hate trans people, you're a piece of shit. I hate you. Right-wingers are morons. Hey, thank you for outing yourself. Being a bigot. Fuck yourself, dude. Or dudette. I don't know. I don't want to misgender you. He's Allah, and he misspells Allah, by the way. God damn. Right-wingers are fucking stupid. Can I get an amen? To the one true God. Me, of course. Ping Shui emerges at Olympics, gives a controlled interview. Now, we went over her story a couple months back. She had accused Chinese officials of sexual assault and then was disappeared. Nothing to see here. Move on. That was the message that Chinese tennis player Ping Shui delivered Monday in a controlled interview in Beijing that touched on sexual assault allegations she made against a former high-ranking member of China's ruling Communist Party. Her answers, delivered in front of a Chinese Olympic official, left unanswered questions about her well-being and what exactly happened. Interview with French sports newspaper L'Equipe, and an announcement that International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach met Ping for dinner this weekend seemed aimed at allaying sustained international concerns about the three-time Olympian and former number one ranked tennis doubles player. If Fears for Ping's safety have threatened to overshadow the Winter Olympics underway in Beijing. Ping told L'Equipe concerns were the result of an enormous misunderstanding. The format of the interview appeared to limit follow-ups about the allegations and their aftermath. L'Equipe said it submitted questions in advance, a precondition for the interview, but also got to ask others that were unplanned. A Chinese Olympic Committee official sat in on the discussion, translating Ping's comments from Chinese. That it also used an interpreter in Paris to ensure the accuracy of the comments that it published in French. Large parts of the hour-long interview, conducted Sunday in a Beijing hotel and organized through China's Olympic Committee with the IOC's help, focused on Ping's playing career. At age 36 and after multiple knee surgeries, Ping said she couldn't envision a return to tour-level professional tennis. She hasn't played on the women's tour since February of 2020. The newspaper published her comments verbatim, which it said was another precondition for the interview in question and answer form. Photos of Ping during the interview showed her wearing a red tracksuit top with China in Chinese characters on the front. The Quip asked Ping about sexual assault allegations that sparked the controversy in November. The allegations were quickly scrubbed from her verified account on a leading Chinese social media platform, Weibo. She subsequently dropped out of public view for a while. That led to "Where is Ping Shui?" questions online and from players and fans outside of China, in part because the country has a history of disappearing people who run afoul of its leaders. We are reading from the AP, by the way. Her lengthy post, Ping wrote that Zhang Gali, a former vice premier and member of the ruling Chinese Communist Party's all-powerful Politburo Standing Committee, had forced her to have sex despite repeated refusals. The post also said they had sex once 7 years ago and that she developed romantic feelings for him after Zhang had not commented on the accusation. I doubt you're Pakistani. Her lengthy post. Oh, I'm sorry, I already did that part. Originally, I buried all this in my heart, she wrote. Why would you even come find me again, take me to your house, and force me and you to have sexual relations? Interview with L'Equipe. Her first sit-down discussion with non-Chinese language media since the accusation. She walked back the original post. Sexual assault? I never said that anyone made me submit to sexual assault, the newspaper quoted her as saying. The post resulted in an enormous misunderstanding from the outside world. My wish is that the meaning of this post no longer be skewed. Asked by L'Equipe why the post disappeared from Ping's account, she said, I erased it. Why? Because I wanted to, she added. The obvious follow-up question of why she posted it in the first place wasn't asked.